to go and undertake a study and discuss with all the protagonists, all the states concerned and actors concerned, and then come back as quickly as possible with a report, and which will then be studied, and then actions hopefully will be taken as a result of that.
Why do you think Nigeria is not in a hurry to reopen her land borders?
Well, because there was a mischief. There was a reason why the borders were closed, and obviously those causes have not been satisfactorily addressed. As you know what the causes were, there's illegal importation of huge quantities of rice, which threatens our food security. And there's also the issue of illegal smuggling of small arms and light weapons. And there's also the illegal smuggling of drugs. And all of those are having a huge and deleterious effect on our society.
The meeting held behind closed doors also discussed the political impasse in Guinea-Bissau as well as the ECOWAS single currency initiative.
The ECOWAS was informed by the head of the government of Guinea-Bissau that the Supreme Court decision is imminent today. Possibly it might come out, and that it's better to wait before taking any further decisions. On the single currency, I mean, the situation is just the same, that the countries that are not part of the CFA zone, feel that the convergence criteria for a single currency have not been met, and that it's not appropriate to rush into a single market when all the economic indices still need to be met.
No date has yet been fixed for the resumption of talks by the ECOWAS leaders on the contentious issues affecting the sub-region. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And we're not done with the sidelines of the AU summit. The federal government is reassuring Nigerians and the international community that it will neither shirk its responsibility nor relent until all the children and others in captivity are freed from the shackles of Boko Haram and reunited with their families. President Buhari renewed the pledge at a high-level breakfast dialogue on the plight of children in armed conflicts held on the margins of the African Union summit in Ethiopia. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo brings us details.
Studies have shown that no fewer than 13 African countries are either experiencing active conflicts, in fragile post-conflict situations, or bedeviled by major humanitarian crises with devastating consequences on children. 1 out of every 4 African children live in such situations and more likely to be killed, maimed, sexually assaulted, abducted, or drop out of school. Stop the War on Children, Dividend of Silencing the Guns is the focus of this robustly engaging dialogue aimed at recommending clear and actionable policies for implementation by African leaders.
I want to also thank today President Buhari for the release of 160 children from detention last year, and also for assisting in engaging in 2,000 children released from recruitment by the Civilian Joint Task Force. Thank you very much, President Buhari.
President Muhammadu Buhari described as worrisome that the 6 grave violations against children have continued unabated across Africa.
It is for this reason that the Nigerian government has severally condemned and is combating frontally the dreadful activities of terrorist groups like Boko Haram and the so-called Islamic State. We will not relent until every child, boy or girl, every Nigerian adult in the custody of Boko Haram is freed. Nigeria is committed to the protection of children in armed conflict zones.
The president was emphatic that any incidence of violation of children's rights is an indelible dent on African consciousness and therefore must be confronted as a matter of honor.
The call to action is now for accountability by all African states to the rights of children caught up in wars. Let us stop the war on children. This is a wake-up call for us all to create the enabling environment for rooting out the impact of armed conflict against our children across the continent.
The breakfast dialogue was co-organized by Nigeria, Rwanda, Norway, African Union Commission and Save the Children Foundation. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Away from the AU summit, now to resolve the farmer-herders conflict pervading the West African sub-region, a policy tool for effective transition of herders to farmers must be pursued by ECOWAS member countries, with specific emphasis on confronting the challenge of access to land. This was the thrust of a forum in Abuja where stakeholders are working on a blueprint to be presented to the government of member countries. Kelvin Eunwai was there.
The African sub-region is currently witnessing deterioration of pastoralism and transhumance, which have resulted in loss of lives and forced many others to migrate. In the midst of this crisis is the continuous rise in population, thereby putting food security in the sub-region at risk. Nnamdi Obasi, an expert on farmers-herders conflict, is here with his colleagues from across the sub-region to take conversations on the conflict further to a level where solution can be found.
But a lot of the conflicts are very local in their nature, and resolutions, imposed from outside may not be as effective as those that are forged by the people themselves at the local and community levels.
We need to get what we call the lessons learned and the best practices that can be replicated among some member states that have not been utilizing it.
While the regional body recognized the need to transit many herders to farmers to guarantee food security, solving the problem of land use issues in the respective countries, they noted, is paramount.
Now it is becoming a global issue, so that each and every one of us will find a way of at least suggesting what can be made to make it a success so that we can live in peace.
The farmer-herder issues are issues about livelihoods. There are issues about survival of communities.
The document that will emanate from this forum is expected to provide an insight into how the conflict can be resolved with the participation of the local communities. In Abuja, Kelvin Eunwai, NTA News.
To bilateral talks now, as the biggest international miner on the African continent, Australia has decided to heavily invest in Nigeria's mining sector, thereby increasing what used to be small bilateral investment. Already, Nigeria and Australia are engaged in a high-level talks for improved relations. Usman Aliu now reports.
Nigeria and Australia have been close partners for quite some time, and with the current reality of the global economy, countries try to navigate international development, buoyed up by strong partnership that will boost capacity building in major areas of the social and economic sectors. That's what the high-level diplomatic meeting here seeks to achieve. Australia and Nigeria expressed full resolve to develop Nigeria's mining sector.
Australia, we have a modest but a focused relationship, and we focus on where our comparative advantage is. That's mining and education. In the mining sector, we've worked closely now with Nigeria since 2003 to really support the development of the mining sector, including legislation and getting in place investments. So now we have 2 Australian stock exchange listed companies who are here actively on the ground trying to work to progress a mine to the next level. I think what's really important to note is the Australian mining companies really have very high environmental and social standards, and so the first thing they've done is put in place a community development plan.
Mining is an area where a lot of common man would benefit, and the huge potentials are there. And Nigeria, as you are aware, we have more than 44 mineral resources untapped.
Key players in Kama say the renewed impetus will be beneficial to both countries.
Members of NASIMA who are from this mining state, we want to sensitize them and also let them know that the Australians are ready to do business.
With Nigeria's ease of doing business policy, it is expected that the Australian firms are more encouraged to invest beyond the mining sector. In Abuja, Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Let's now shift our attention to security. The sustained onslaught against terrorist locations in the northeast by the Nigerian Air Force under the auspices of Operation Rattlesnake 3 has recorded another major success with the neutralization of some key Boko Haram terrorist leaders at Alafa Yaga Yaga on the fringes of the Sambisa Forest in Borno State. This was achieved on the 8th of February 2020 when fighter jets dispatched by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafayette penetrated a compound in the settlement where the leaders had assembled for a meeting. A statement from the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, says the airstrike was executed on the heels of credible intelligence reports, indicating that the BHT leaders had converged at the target compound for a meeting over the weekend. Intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance mission, which confirmed the meeting venue, also observed several BHTs in and around other buildings in the vicinity of the compound. Bombs from the detailed attack aircraft scored accurate hits on the target, leading to the obliteration of the compound and surrounding structures, as well as the neutralization of the BHT occupants. The NAF, operating in concert with surface forces, will sustain its air campaign to shape the battleship in the northeast for effective conduct for further ground and air operations. News on International, reaching you live from Abuja. Let's take a breather now. More reports ahead when we return.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka, no panic.
Doesn't mean no panic.
You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK.
Press OK.
Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK.
Yeah, press OK. Wow, now you self fit catch all those channels will be one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your groove for no loss. You see as I do, Abi? And I see as I do,
Go TV. Live it. Love it.
And I see as
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari and the leadership of the All Progressives Congress have revealed the membership of the party's National Reconciliation Committee. In a statement by the APC National Publicity Secretary Larry Issa Onilu, the 12-member committee has one of the party's chieftain, Chief Bisi Akonde, as chairman, 2 APC governors, some 7 members of the 9th National Assembly, and members of the Federal Executive Council. Senator John Eno is to serve as the committee's secretary. The committee is in part to address grievances of party members across the country and resolve existing conflicts, all with a view to fostering oneness, strengthen the party for better governance, and ensure unity of purpose within the party. Now, the House of Representatives Committee on Environment has commenced investigation into the $360 million so far realized from stakeholders within the 5-year window period of the Ogoni cleanup project. The committee chairman frowned at the inability of the Federal Ministry of Environment and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to present their submissions at investigative hearing. Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Seated here are representatives of the oil companies in Nigeria. They are expected to provide 90% of the $1 billion needed for the Ogoni cleanup projects. The remediation work, which is identified as the largest globally by the United Nations, according to the coordinator of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, is targeted at remediation of impacted sites where 21 companies are currently working, while 36 more are in the process of joining them.
Recently, we're in Geneva, sitting with UNEP again to look at the activities that we need to do in this new year.
It's also in the interest of generation unborn and the environment, because these are indeed clearly sensitive things related to environment, that things are done right.
The committee members requested a review of the document presented by Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project to incorporate the land area of each site, the extent of pollution, status of the ongoing projects, and statement of bank accounts used for the projects.
The committee views this action as a breach of legislative privilege and right as enshrined in the section 88 and 89 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The committee fixed 17th February for continuation of the hearing and directed its secretariat to re-invite the Federal Ministry of Environment and the NNPC. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And in other news, the Buhari Media Organization BMO says it is supporting the advocacy of the Senate on its call for the probe of the privatization of the nation's power sector. Senate President Ahmed Lawan recently maintained that there's a need to revisit the privatization of the power sector as a way of unveiling the truth about the whole exercise to bring about a solution to the sector. In endorsing the probe, BMO says the probe is most welcome in view of the growing concern expressed by Nigerians on the state of power supply in the country. BMO points out that the privatization of power sector by the PDP administration 7 years ago has continued to put the current administration under heavy financial burden and eroded public confidence in the ability of the concerned investors to manage the nation's power sector for effective and efficient power delivery to Nigerians. For stories trending in the financial sector, let's now join Olayinka Ojo.
Skills acquisition has been highlighted as key to solving the problem of unemployment occasioned by unskilled workforce. This resonated at the graduation ceremony of about 11,000 persons trained in different vocation skills.
The very practical nature of the training, which was 80% practical and 20% theory, they were equipped with the necessary skills and aptitudes for them to thrive as employees.
The Department for International Development, DFID, Financial Conduct Authority, and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, have agreed to collaborate to develop the fintech space in Nigeria. Receiving officials of both organizations in Abuja, Acting Director General of SEC, Mary Uduk, said the collaboration would encourage responsible use of new technologies and digital finance in the capital market. How is Naira exchanging for other international currencies?
Thank you, Olayinka. Now for stories trending in other parts of the world, let's join Uche Ugochukwu.
Hello there. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has told African leaders that it's time to remove Sudan from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. Addressing the annual African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Mr. Guterres said the UN would drum up international support that would enable the country to overcome its challenges. Sudan is being welcomed back into the international fold following the toppling of the former president Omar al-Bashir last year. Reports indicate a poor turnout in Cameroon's long-delayed parliamentary and local elections on Sunday amid a partial boycott and violence. Official results are expected within 2 weeks. Earlier, separatist fighters in the Anglophone heartlands ordered a lockdown and some residents fled their homes for fear of possible confrontation between the militants and security forces. Talks to end 6 years of fighting in South Sudan have ended with no deal between the warring parties. President Salva Kiir and his rival Riek Machar have been in closed-door meetings over the last 2 days in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, trying to reach a deal before the expiration of 100 days extension they sought to form a transitional government. Finally, after authorities extended the Lunar New Year holiday by 10 days in an attempt to contain the new coronavirus outbreak that has killed more than 900 people and infected more than 40,000. Most provinces in China ended the official holiday on Monday, but there is no widespread reopening of businesses as the entire country has remained on high alert. That does it from here. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
In talking sports now, President Muhammadu Buhari felicitates with female basketball team D Tigers for qualifying for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, urging them to remain focused, determined and energized for a good outing at the tournament. President Buhari commends the sportsmanship and resilience of the team all through the qualifying stages and in their trainings, saluting their courage in always putting out their best as they represent the country. Being the current African champions, President Buhari believes the D Tigers already has the talents that could make global impact in the sport, assuring that the federal government would ensure proper preparation and mobilization for all outings. The president also commends team officials and the National Basketball Federation for the discipline and motivation of the D Tigers. Next is a look at the weather prospect for Nigeria and other cities around the world.